Hello, everyone. Welcome in. Happy almost full moon, lunar eclipse, blood moon, lunar eclipse in Pisces. I came on here. I want to give you guys a transmission and just an astrological update of what's going on. I'm going to be using my notes because there's so much happening that I don't want to miss anything or get it wrong. And that could be my Virgo-ness. Because there's so many aspects that are being targeted in this astrological event. And if you subscribe to my website, the link is included in this live. You will get the newsletter that goes out later this afternoon. It also provides a guided meditation to help you integrate and release these energies that I'm going to be talking about. And I'm also going to include another post with 3 crystals that you can use to help you in this process of letting go and integrating all of these changes and reflections that you might be seeing for the first time. You can tell I've already been feeling the full moon. I look very tired. And that's also because the North Node and South Node are in my moon and rising sign. So, yeah, there's a lot going on. So just to begin, it's at 15 degrees in Pisces tomorrow. Okay. It marks the completion of an era in our life. And it asks us to release what has run its course. Okay. It's an opportunity to create space for integration and closure before new beginnings unfold. It'll be visible partially for people in Europe, Africa, Asia, and Australia. It mostly impacts mutable signs. If you have a 15 degree in your birth chart in Gemini or Virgo, Sagittarius, Pisces, look into that because you are going to be even more impacted. Granted, all of us are going to feel the energies and waves of this. If we're paying attention, we can miss it all together and just be like, why do I feel off or like anxious? Well, that's why. But if you have mutable signs, especially at the 15 degree, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, Pisces, you will feel this more. It will be hard for you to ignore. Okay. So just keeping that in mind, if you have any of those signs, which I am like I said, Pisces moon, Virgo rising. So I feel a lot of it. It's been like front and center for a little bit. It asks you to let go of what has lost its meaning, trusting the flow of life and cultivating faith and gratitude as you honor the end of a cycle in your life. Okay. So lunar eclipses are all about completion and release. It happens 2 times a year. Eclipses bring waves of unpredictability that recognizes or reorganizes our reality, offering us opportunities to let go of old identities and ways of being, taking quantum leaps into the future. It marks a significant turning point and shifts of fate. The total lunar eclipse is considered more intense, like a supercharged full moon, and the energy is of closure, of completion and release being heightened around this time. The invitation is for us to let go of the old to make space for the new. As I've always said with my clients, like you can't buy a new couch if a couch is already existing in that spot, in that space, right? You got to get rid of that couch to bring in a new couch. Same thing with if you're trying to call in new parts of yourself or, a more embodied, connected, attuned sense of self, then there's going to be versions of you that are going to have to go, or habits, behaviors, people, relationships, work, states of mind, states of being that are going to have to fall away from your life. And so, it will help you as it becomes totally eclipsed. We're asked to look inward. Okay. Cultivating gratitude for what we have learned and releasing what is holding us back from moving forward. Okay. The total lunar eclipse in Pisces is conjunct with the North Node. So the lunar nodes, if you don't know, they connect with our spiritual and evolutionary journey. They represent two opposing and complementary energies we're being challenged to balance and harmonize. So the South Node, which is in Virgo, is where we come from, familiar with talents and qualities we express spontaneously, a place we can get stuck, and ways of being that drain our energy. So say we do something in a certain way, especially with Virgo, that includes perfectionism, or we just, have to do all these things to make sure it's perfect. And then we get in our own way because, we can't create this content because it's taking too long, or ran out of time, or, it's just not good enough. So we're not releasing what we need to release in terms of our media. If we're wanting to grow our audience or following or something like that, we want to make sure that we are making space for that, looking at the characteristics of that. If we're not organized enough, right? If we're not meeting devotion with our daily tasks. Virgo is all about our mundane daily life tasks and bringing devotion and ritual into them, honoring them, devoting space, allowing for these daily tasks to become ritual, even if it's doing the dishes, making that like a prayer of gratitude, making cleaning your home an act of devotion to not only your home, but to yourself, creating magic in the mundane. Okay. And so then the North Node, which is Pisces, where our full moon is, it represents our evolutionary direction, where we're going. The energy is unfamiliar and unknown, and it asks us to get out of our comfort zone to balance tendencies inherent with the South Node in Virgo. Okay. So when the nodes are active, it's a period of intensified growth, bringing us powerful karmic lessons, and new opportunities for evolution. So the lunar eclipse occurs on the lunar North Node of Pisces. So the activation of the North Node indicates the significance of endings as necessary to clear space for new beginnings. And it's an opportunity for doors to close, for new ones to open. That's the way to see it, as an opportunity, not as like, I have to say goodbye to this thing. I'm losing this thing, this part of me. Let go of the attachment to that, of needing to be a certain way or being so comfortable being away, especially if you know it's not the most helpful or productive or healthy for you. If it's not giving you the juice you need to meet your goals or get somewhere new in your evolutionary journey, how can you release that? Right? And when the North Node points at our path that we're meant to follow, moving forward is not possible without farewells, without separating from the known, without leaving something behind. Okay. The total lunar eclipse in Pisces is about surrendering and letting go of control. And that's really hard for a lot of people because we are conditioned and programmed with stress and anxiety from media, from the government, from every which way you look. We gravitate towards control because that helps us with fear and anxiety. We think it's a false sense of control. But releasing that control, how can you surrender more and let go, trusting that something better is on its way, that you don't even need this thing that's holding you back. Being the last archetype of the zodiac, being Pisces, it's all about dissolution of the separate sense of self that we have formed throughout the previous 11 stages. Okay. So reminding us of the unity of everything that exists, teaching us on a higher level that there's really no separation, that everything comes to an end at some point, and every end is a seed to a new beginning. And when the energies of Pisces is as potent as it is right now when a total lunar eclipse happens in this sign, our boundaries are more porous. We're more sensitive to information that we usually don't pick up. And material we don't normally have access to can filter into our conscious awareness. So no matter what psychic abilities, dream worlds, visions are going to become so much more heightened, especially if you are a mutable sign with the 15 degree in your birth chart. I would check that again if you're just now joining us. So your psychic abilities are going to be heightened, your dream life more vivid and more intense. Right now you might be able to tap into your dreams and be able to learn or download these light codes or ancient codes or galactic codes of future advancement of your more healed, connected self, becoming proficient, efficient, and masters in certain qualities or skills. It can be like a training school for yourself in your dreams right now. You might be getting a lot of messages, symbols, meetings with entities or spirits or your counsel, whoever, your spirit guides, right? Paying attention to animals and how they're interacting with you is another big one. But you might have certain psychic abilities or clair abilities that come online that you didn't have before. And we really need to give space to allow that to integrate. And say we've been, shying away from it or we're afraid of it because of whatever meaning we have been conditioned with that it means, disconnecting from that false truth and connecting with something that allows you to integrate these skills, to embrace them, to embody them so that you can experience a better time in life. Because when we ignore our abilities, when they come online, that gives us so much anxiety and stress and paranoia and just all of these things, okay, that we could feel. Especially sleep disruption, insomnia, all kinds of stuff. When really we can lean into it, do grounding and coping skills and cultivating a new form and way of viewing and living with and experiencing and using these skills for our best and highest good and the best and highest good of all, right? How can we use this to be in service? And you may have a feeling of the ground disappearing from beneath your feet. Structures we believed were solid aren't anymore. During this 18-month journey through Pisces, the North Node asks us to surrender, having faith, moving through life without unnecessary force, to release our need to control and the distorted ideas about perfection. Okay. In Pisces, the North Node points to the importance of trusting our intuition, avoiding overthinking, and harnessing the flow of life to our advantage rather than resisting it or moving against it. And yeah, when you get a download, when you receive information from intuition, and it's like an immediate like, oh, yep, I hear that. That is true. And then we're like, oh, that's when the overthinking starts. And then it's like, oh, no, maybe it's not true. Maybe I didn't hear that. No, that's not possible. I don't want that truth. It's what it's really saying. I don't want that to be my truth. So it's not denial, right? Not refusing to acknowledge things that are being shown. And then the full moon opposite Mercury trine with Jupiter. So the Mercury conjunct the sun in Virgo and lunar south node, which is Virgo, is opposite the full moon and the north node in Pisces. Okay. The Mercury's ruler of Virgo. Mercury is the ruler of Virgo and the south node, and is connected to how we are drawn to creating feelings of safety and security in our life. It points at the general tendency to overthink, overanalyze reality, and need to feel in control, and the desire for perfection, order, and rational understanding. Sorry, rational understanding. Yeah, Pisces doesn't really connect with rational logic and understanding. Pisces is mysticism and illusion and spiritual information, and it's totally opposite. It's not using rational mind. What you're receiving, what you're knowing, it may not make any sense. It may not, what you're being called to do or asked to do may not make any fucking sense to you. But trusting that, right? You don't need logic and rationality, because that is what's going to keep you stuck, that way of thinking. So seeing where does that happen in my life, in my perspective, and my thoughts. And Mercury with the moon in opposition highlights polarization between ways of thinking, letting go of rigid ideas, opinions, and expectations, and discovering what happens when we look at our reality from different perspectives. Okay. So even playing with that idea, playing with that exercise of like, okay, I see it this way all the time, and I know that it blocks me or it hinders my growth or evolution, but I'm not ready to say goodbye to it or don't want to. Look at the perspective that you have in terms of that thing. Can you encourage yourself to maybe view it in a different perspective? And does that help? If you're always kind of negative or blocking it, what happens if you were to be a full fuck yes, or seeing it through a positive light? What would that shift within you? Mercury, the moon in opposition also highlights, oh, sorry, I read that. Pisces moon forms a trine with Jupiter in Cancer. So Jupiter is the ancient ruler of Pisces. And so it's a harmonious aspect, allowing us to see any crisis we may be going through as an opportunity. So it's a really positive aspect that can bring in these energies of positivity even when we're in the unknown. So leaning into that. And Jupiter's influence helps us look at positive aspects of change and endings and relating to future with optimism and faith. Okay. So it's like, oh, I gotta, change. I gotta stop smoking my vape or something like that. It's like, I know that it's lowering my frequency and vibration. This is something that I was doing in October. Like, I know I need to stop this and my frequency, my vibration, and I just don't know if I can do it. It's going to be so hard. But then I'm like, oh, but then my vibration and frequency is going to be elevated and raised, and I'm going to get higher consciousness and channeling higher communication and having greater insight, and my health is going to thank me. My body is so ready to be done with that. I don't need it, right? It'll bring in that overpowering the fear and the need to control to make us feel safe and secure, but realizing that that is false. Like, that is not safe or secure. That is just an imprisonment in something that lowers our vibration, that hinders our evolutionary growth. Of course, we can grow in other ways, but in vibration and frequency, it's going to be harder to have that evolve if we're still doing this other thing that's constantly lowering it or blocking us from said communication and connection from higher sources. And so, the alignment facilitates the capacity to harness what we are going through as an opportunity for growth and expansion and making the most out of any challenges we may be facing. So even when you're doing this exercise, or not even when, but when you're doing this exercise of looking into your shadows, of seeing the truths that maybe you didn't want to acknowledge before, and you are just paying attention to your behavior. What is your initial thought? What are your initial feelings about this thing that you're realizing is like, oh shit, I need to let go of this, or I do this thing that I don't want to admit doing. Yeah, it's like all of these aspects. Okay, can you now look at it from a more positive light? Like, what would this do for me? What is the opportunity in me letting this go? What would happen in terms of creating more expansion and growth if I were to let this thing go? How will this letting go provide me with growth, evolution, expansion? What will I get from this, right? Sometimes we need to know that information in order to commit fully. Excuse me. Jupiter also inspires us to look at the bigger picture and seek deeper meaning and purpose of everything we're going through. And so if you're not one of those people that takes a look at your life, your actions, behaviors, relationships, work, all that stuff, and you're not taking a self-inventory, that's okay. Now is an opportunity to do it, okay? And see that everything that you're doing and choosing creates a path in your life, taking you down a certain way. Can you see that all of these endings or things that are happening, big transitions that may be unpleasant or don't feel very good, what are they ultimately bringing you spiritually in terms of what's to come next? Because if you can remember things you've had to say goodbye to or have left or ended or quit, did those things not lead you to greater and better things? Did they not free you and liberate you in some way, shape, or form? That's what we want to connect to. And so Neptune conjunct Saturn, sextile Pluto and Uranus. And I know I might be speaking another language to you and you might have no fucking idea what I'm talking about, and that's okay. Write down some notes. I will do my best to go into what they are, but that's okay. Focus on the meaning. Neptune is the modern ruler of Pisces and the full moon. So his condition gives us more information about quality of the times we're in. I'm going to say that again. Neptune's condition gives us more information about the quality of the times we are in. You may think you're in great times, right? Or around great people, and then you look at it and you're like, not that they're bad people, but like, are they in alignment? Oh, this is what I'm going through because I am shedding all of the shit that's not in alignment. so that I can be more in alignment, calling in greater and higher and things for my highest and best good and the highest and best good of all, right? So Neptune is now in Aries in retrograde in the balsamic phase, conjunct with Saturn in late degrees of Pisces and sextiling both Pluto in Aquarius and retrograde Uranus in Gemini. So Neptune and Saturn don't complete conjunction until February 20th, 2026. So what's going on right now may be elusive until then. The energy will call for closure, dissolution, and letting go of the past. You will feel this until February, guys. So if you don't do this on the full moon or feel called or feel connected to releasing this tomorrow on the full moon, that's okay. You will feel it until February, being not pushed, but encouraged from the universe. You will feel things popping up in your shadow and your conscious awareness coming from shadow of things that you may not want to see, things you might discount or like, oh, I didn't see that. I don't want to know that. I don't want to do that. It's going to ask for these things that might feel real scary, real big, like huge decisions, huge shifts. Because when big things like this happen, we are being ushered and moved into a higher timeline. There's a reason for this. It's not because you're being punished or you're bad or karma. Even though karma is definitely a thing, but that's not how karma works. It's not a punishment. That's you do this, so you get this. I mean, kind of, but not as a punishment. That's not how it's seen. So seeing that like all of these closures and endings are really just setting you up to be in the vibrational and frequency state that you need to be in to receive the evolutionary expansion and growth that you are desiring, that you want, or that you're being asked to move into, right? And if you challenge that and oppose that, there will always be consequences, right? You will feel like, oh, I didn't do something, or I'm not where I want to be. And that might become a cycle to then break next time. Okay. Or just in general, you may feel suspended and uncertain about your future and what's coming next. So something is definitely coming to an end. You may not feel sure about what's beginning, what's next, where you're going. That's okay. Just trust. Trust and know that it's for your highest and best good and that it will reveal itself to you exactly why you're doing it. And you may not know until then, but having that blind faith in yourself and what you're receiving, because the more you listen to that, the rewards become greater and greater and greater. Just like when I trusted my intuition, what I was receiving, that I needed to go to the redwoods like right now. I needed to go. I just like left with no plan, nothing. I didn't even have enough money. And I didn't know why I was there, but I knew I had to be with the trees, with the redwoods. And turns out I have this gift to breathe with the trees and activate and wake them up, wake up the forest. I don't know what I'm waking them up for, but I'm just trusting that, right? And I didn't know until I had that experience, and it was so powerful and emotional, and I'll be spending 3 to 6 months there soon. So, I'm so excited for that. But if I hadn't listened to that, I would still be sitting here anxious, not knowing, just feeling the sense of urgency, like I need to go do this thing. Why haven't I gone to do this thing? Or I need, not a good time. So, just listening to that. So the sextiles with Uranus and Pluto, they're active for several months. They facilitate change, innovation, and supports our capacity to transform our lives and adapt to what happens around us. Okay. So giving us the power and the skill and the wisdom to flow with life. Okay. Eclipses bring us revelations, moments of clarity, and allows us to see the truth of situations we've resisted acknowledging. So yes, there's uncomfortability in what we discover because these shifts aren't small. They're evolutionary. We're shifting incredible timelines, leaps, and leaps of traversing space-time into the future. And so anything that is calling for that is going to be big. So if you don't practice coping and grounding skills, I would practice them. I would become a master at what helps me the most when I'm anxious, what helps me the most when I'm stressed, what helps me the most when I'm sad, angry, rageful. What helps me? Okay. When I feel overwhelmed. And the only way you would know that is if you had practiced repeatedly for like many months, various coping and grounding skills all the time. Like when you're relaxed, chill, a little triggered, doing all different kinds, but on a daily basis so that it gets programmed into your shadow. And so when you get triggered, it automatically turns on like a program. That's what I would suggest during this time because it might bring up some discomfort and uncomfortable feelings, some very loud self-talk that might not be helpful, and becoming aware of that your self-talk creates the feelings in your body. It's not other people and situations. It's what you say and the meanings you make about them. It's your perspective and how you perceive yourself within what is happening. If you take on the role as a victim, yeah, everything's going to be overwhelming. Everything's going to be, I'm bad, poor me, everything else, blame, which is not helpful and it's not providing you growth. That's going to keep you stuck. So that's an area too of like, if your self-talk is not helpful, that's going to prevent you from your evolutionary growth and expansion because it's calling for you to connect with these higher frequencies and ways of being that and perspectives that that might be foreign to you, that you've never done, never even dreamed that you could, like creating self-love and positive self-talk. It's a whole, it's what people come to me to learn about because I spend so much time on it because it is the thing that we have been, blocked from, denied from, made to feel like we're weird if we talk to ourselves or, we avoid doing it. We have all of the programs in our shadow of what everybody else said to us or how we should be, give tough love, which is like poison in the body. Tough love is something that no one ever needs to give themselves ever, even if you really fuck up. Okay. So, it is a time of deep emotional cleansing. Hidden feelings may rise to the surface and unconscious patterns may become visible. That's where we need coping and grounding skills, guys, to help you be able to not shy away from what you are witnessing or experiencing or becoming aware of. It's about leaning into it. And it's really hard to lean into it if we don't have a supported nervous system. Your nervous system is going to provide you with the kind of experience you're going to have. You can think that you want to have a positive experience and that you can do that with self-talk. But if you're not grounding your nervous system, your thoughts and self-talk are not going to be in alignment with what you're needing to be at. You have to ground your nervous system. Okay. While this process may feel intense, or destabilizing, it ultimately serves to liberate you from what no longer aligns with your growth. Okay. What you're being asked to do. There's a reason we're on a path. All of us, we're all here during this very auspicious time in history, in cosmology and in astrology. There's wild things happening, and it doesn't seem to be ending. It seems to be ramping up. And we're all being asked to step up even more. And I'm not the only one who feels this, but there's like this sense of urgency, like something's coming, something's going to be happening, and we need to be energetically, vibrationally, and in our physical bodies as healthy and heightened and high as possible. And I don't mean like high, like vibrating at a high frequency, being more of these light beings, letting our heart space, a healed heart space that is expansive and open and willing to receive and give love, to be of service, aligning with that higher timeline, because we're going to need it. I believe there's already been a splitting, right, of two different perspectives or ways of being, perceiving, experiencing life. But that's going to diverge even more. And I believe there's something that we're going to have to be ready for, that it's going to be like, oh, are you like meeting this? Okay, goodbye. Like you're not, right? I don't believe it's going to be like a punishment or anything like that, but there is definitely something that we are being called to do, as a collective, as a society, as a human race, that we need to evolve faster. We have to get on the bandwagon. We need to become more of our fullest expression, embodied expression of what we want to see in the world. Being what you want to experience, what you want to see. Can you model that for other people by emulating it yourself? Okay. And so again, if any of you want to be connected to my weekly newsletter, to all of my email subscribers out there, the link is included in this video. That goes to my website and you can subscribe there. I'm just starting the newsletter this week. And so I will put in a little information about, this full moon, but I'm giving you an activated guided meditation to help ground in and integrate and activate this energy that is so potent right now, to help you move through it. And I'm also going to be telling you a little bit about my redwoods journey and trusting my intuition with that and the higher information I was receiving and what transpired from that. And then I will also include in there, which will be in another video, but I'll include the 3 crystals that help with this full moon, to help you harness the energies, ground in the energies, move through them, connect to this higher sense of self, connect to the spiritual communication you're receiving, the psychic information you're receiving, maybe even dream work, protecting you and shielding you from any kind of negative energies or any things that might be overwhelming, right? Any anxiety, stress, help you with that. And 3 of those stones, I'll just tell you what they are: amethyst, obsidian, and labradorite. All very helpful, important crystals that can help you on this journey. And if I have a million titles, but I'm also a crystal healer practitioner, level 1. A lot of information. It's so much to remember. There's so many crystals. But when you can learn how to utilize their natural components and power and energies, they want to help you on this journey. That's part of the reason why they're here, right? And so, yeah, keep an eye out for that. And also, if you want to grab a copy of my book on Amazon, the link is in my bio. Would love to hear, just any reviews of what you guys think about it, about the information. I've had some interesting insight. I see things in a different way that other people don't. And so it's really important to maybe that's a new perspective you need, some different way of seeing what's going on. If your life and things aren't changing, it might be time to switch it out. Happy full moon blessings. I hope everybody has a grounded, embodied day tomorrow. Much love. Bye.